All right, so let's dive into something pretty cool. You know how, like, some days just feel ordinary? Well, today, October 27th, is anything be ordinary when you look back in time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about, like, major global shifts, political dramas, and even some surprising connections.
Interesting.
Our source for this deep dive, a Wikipedia entry in Arabic about October 27th.
Okay.
And get this, it's not just a list of dates and names.
Okay.
This thing is packed with stories that really capture how interconnected our world is.
It's like a tapestry where each thread represents an event, a person, an idea,
Yeah,
and they're all woven together to create this intricate picture of history.
exactly.
Yeah.
So buckle up because we're going on a journey through time, starting in 1913.
Right.
Picture this. Kuwait,
Hmm.
a land steeped in tradition, suddenly finds itself at the heart of a global power play.
Okay.
That's when Sheikh Mubarak al-Sabah, the ruler of Kuwait at the time, grants Britain the right to extract oil.
Wow.
Now, this might seem like a simple business deal, but
It's actually a pivotal moment.
Yep.
It's like striking a match that ignites a whole chain of events. You see, oil was rapidly becoming essential for industrialized nations, and the Middle East was sitting on vast reserves.
right.
This agreement with Britain basically gave them a foothold in the region and set the stage for decades of Western involvement in the Middle East, the good, the bad, and the complicated.
You know, it's wild to think about how this one agreement had ripple effects that we're still dealing with today.
Yeah.
Talk about unintended consequences. Okay, now let's fast forward to the 1960s, the Cold War, the space race, and a whole lot of tension.
Okay.
October 27th, 1960 marks a day that could have changed the course of history. The resolution of the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, wow.
The world was literally on the brink of nuclear war.
It's chilling to think about, isn't it?
boom.
President Kennedy facing down the Soviet Union, those 13 days of tense negotiations, the threat of annihilation hanging over everyone. It's a testament to diplomacy, strategic thinking, and honestly a bit of luck that we managed to avert disaster.
Yeah.
The decisions made during that crisis shaped the Cold War landscape for years to come.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is that on that same day, halfway across the world, something else was happening that reflects the global power struggles of the time.
Oh, really?
Syrian forces shut down an Egyptian-backed radio station in Lebanon. Now, this might seem like a small incident in comparison to the Cuban Missile Crisis, but
It's actually a really telling example of how interconnected global events were during this era. Think about it. The Cold War wasn't just about nuclear weapons. It was also a battle for hearts and minds.
right.
Nations were vying for influence through propaganda, using media like radio to shape public opinion.
Oh.
So this seemingly isolated incident in Lebanon was actually a piece of a much larger puzzle, a proxy conflict in the broader Cold War struggle.
I see.
It's like everyone was playing a strategic game on a global chessboard.
It makes you realize that even events that seem unrelated can be part of the same story influenced by the same forces. Okay, ready for another jump through time. Let's head to the 1990s, a decade of seismic shifts in the global landscape.
Okay.
On October 27th, 1990, something incredible happened. The Lebanese Civil War, a brutal 15-year conflict, finally came to an end. General Michel Aoun played a key role in bringing about this peace.
Wow.
A glimmer of hope in a region that had seen so much suffering.
And that's not all. The world was literally being redrawn in the 1990s. The fall of the Berlin Wall had triggered a domino effect. And on that same day in 1990, we see Turkmenistan declaring its independence from the crumbling Soviet Union and Poland holding its first truly democratic elections.
Really?
It was a time of both upheaval and possibility, with former Soviet republics seizing the chance for self-determination and democratic movements gaining momentum across the globe.
It makes you wonder, what will future historians say about the defining moments of our decade? It's almost like we're living through history in real time.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears a bit, we're going to look at two events linked to Syria and the U.S., but decades apart. In 1994, President Clinton makes a landmark visit to Damascus. This was huge, the first visit by a U.S. president since Nixon back in '74. It was a sign that.
Is a tentative step towards rapprochement, an acknowledgement of Syria's strategic importance in the Middle East. However, the complexities of this relationship, the challenges of bridging divides, are tragically highlighted by a later event on this same date. Fast forward to 2018, and a heartbreaking incident shakes the world of sports. Vijay Srivatanaprabha, the beloved owner of Leicester City Football Club, dies in a helicopter crash outside the team stadium.
It's a stark reminder that even amidst these grand historical narratives, individual lives with their joys and sorrows continue to unfold. It makes you think about how history isn't just about dates and events, it's about the human stories woven into them.
And those human stories take so many different forms.
Yeah.
In addition to those events, October 27th also happens to be the birthday of some truly remarkable figures, individuals who pushed boundaries, led nations, and changed the way we see the world.
It's like this one date is a microcosm of human achievement, a reminder of the incredible diversity of contributions people have made throughout history. So where do we even begin?
Well, how about with a man who literally expanded our understanding of the planet? James Cook, the legendary explorer, born on this day in 1728. Think about it. His voyages to the Pacific Ocean were groundbreaking, not just for mapping new territories, but for the sheer audacity of it all.
Hmm?
Sailing into the unknown, facing unpredictable weather, navigating by the stars.
Wow.
It's the stuff of adventure novels.
Reading about his journeys, you can't help but be in awe of his courage and determination. And let's not forget the constant threat of scurvy. It makes you appreciate how far we've come in terms of understanding nutrition and health.
Absolutely. Cook's meticulous record-keeping and his innovative approaches to keeping his crew healthy were almost as important as his geographical discoveries. He was a true pioneer both in exploration and in maritime health practices.
Okay, next up, we have a figure who needs no introduction. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, born in 1858. When you think of Teddy, what comes to mind? For me, it's his speak softly and carry a big stick approach to foreign policy. He definitely wasn't afraid to assert American power on the world stage.
That's true. But there was another side to Roosevelt that often gets overlooked, his deep love and respect for nature. This was a man who was deeply concerned about preserving America's natural heritage for future generations. He was instrumental in establishing national parks, protecting vast swaths of wilderness, and really laying the foundation for the conservation movement we see today. Over 230 million acres of public land were protected during his presidency, including iconic places like the Grand Canyon.
It's fascinating how one person can embody such seemingly contradictory impulses, the big stick diplomacy and the passionate advocacy for conservation. It just goes to show that even historical figures we think we know can surprise us with their complexities. And to round out our birthday trio, we have a figure who reminds us of the power of art and the resilience of the human spirit. Roberto Benigni, the Italian actor and director born in 1952.
Benigni, best known for his Oscar-winning film, Life is Beautiful. It's such a powerful film, a testament to the enduring power of hope, even in the face of unimaginable horror. His performance, finding humor and humanity amidst the darkness of the Holocaust, is truly unforgettable.
It's a film that stays with you long after you've seen it. It makes you appreciate the strength of the human spirit and the importance of finding moments of joy even in the darkest of times. Now, on a more somber note, October 27th also marks the passing of several influential figures and individuals who left their mark on the world in different ways. Their stories remind us that history is not just about grand events, it's also about the legacy we leave behind.
One such figure is Lise Meitner, a brilliant physicist who played a crucial role in explaining nuclear fission. Her story is both inspiring and heartbreaking. Imagine being on the cusp of such a monumental scientific breakthrough and then being forced to flee Nazi Germany because of your Jewish heritage. And to add insult to injury, she was controversially overlooked for the Nobel Prize in 1944, despite her significant contributions to the field.
It's a sobering reminder of the obstacles faced by so many brilliant minds throughout history, particularly women in male-dominated fields. It makes you wonder how different the world might be if everyone had the opportunity to fulfill their potential regardless of their background or beliefs.
It's a thought-provoking question for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of missed opportunities and the complexities of historical legacies, we also remember on this day the passing of Dylan Thomas, the Welsh poet, who left us far too soon in 1953.
Dylan Thomas, the wordsmith behind "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night."
The very same. His poetry was a force of nature full of vivid imagery, raw emotion, and a profound awareness of life's fleeting beauty. He struggled with his demons, no doubt, but his words continue to resonate with readers generations later, reminding us to embrace life's intensity, to rage against the dying of the light.
It's amazing how art can transcend time and connect us to the experiences of others, even those who lived in vastly different circumstances.
Absolutely. And on this same day in 2010, we also lost Nestor Kirchner, the former president of Argentina. He was a controversial figure, no doubt, but he played a significant role in the country's economic recovery and political landscape. It's a reminder that leadership often comes in unexpected packages, and that even those who are polarizing can leave a lasting impact.
It's true. History is full of figures who defied easy categorization, who challenged the status quo and left behind a mixed legacy of triumphs and controversies. It's up to us to grapple with their complexities and learn from both their successes and their failures.
Well said. And on this day in 2016, the world of Islamic scholarship mourned the loss of Sheikh Shoaib Arnaut, a renowned scholar of Hadith.
I've heard of him.
He was known for his meticulous work in preserving and interpreting these important religious texts, ensuring that these vital pieces of history and tradition are passed down to future generations.
That's so important. It's like we're all links in a chain connecting the past to the present and the future.
It's a beautiful way to think about it. And his dedication to scholarship highlights the importance of preserving and transmitting knowledge across generations. These texts offer insights into the history, culture, and beliefs of a vast and diverse community. It's a reminder that every culture has its own rich tapestry of stories, traditions, and wisdom that deserves to be honored and understood.
It's like we're piecing together a giant puzzle, and each of these individuals, these events, represents a unique piece that contributes to the bigger picture. And speaking of pieces of the puzzle, we can't wrap up our exploration of October 27th without mentioning a few more fascinating figures who were born on this day. We've got explorers, presidents, actors, and even a touch of royalty.
It's quite a lineup. Shall we start with someone whose name is synonymous with adventure and discovery? How about the man who mapped the coast of Australia and charted vast swaths of the Pacific Ocean, Matthew Flinders, born on this day in 1774?
Flinders. Now, there's a name that evokes images of tall ships, uncharted waters, and daring expeditions. Imagine setting sail with only rudimentary navigational tools, facing unknown dangers, and mapping coastlines that had never been seen by European eyes before. It must have been an incredible experience, both exhilarating and terrifying.
It's hard to even fathom the courage and resilience required for such journeys. Flinders' contributions to our understanding of geography and navigation were immense, but his legacy also reminds us of the complex history of exploration and colonialism.
It's important to acknowledge that exploration, while often driven by a thirst for knowledge and discovery, also had a profound impact on the indigenous populations encountered along the way. It's a reminder that history is rarely simple or straightforward. It's a tapestry woven with threads of ambition, curiosity, conflict, and cultural exchange.
Precisely. And speaking of complex historical figures, how about a U.S. president who faced immense challenges and left behind a legacy that continues to be debated to this day? Ulysses S. Grant, born on this day in 1822.
Grant, the Civil War general turned president. He led the Union to victory in one of the most tumultuous periods in American history, and then he went on to grapple with the immense task of Reconstruction. His presidency was marked by both progress and setbacks, and his legacy remains a subject of intense scrutiny and debate.
It's a testament to the complexity of historical figures and the enduring power of their actions. Grant's story reminds us that leadership is rarely black and white. It often involved navigating difficult choices, making compromises, and leaving behind a mixed legacy that invites both praise and criticism.
And you know, it's interesting, both Grant and Flinders were born on the same day, but in different years.
Yeah, and they both left their mark on the world in very different ways.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that even a single date can hold a multitude of stories, each with its own unique twists and turns.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up our deep dive into October 27th, it's clear that this date is anything but ordinary. It's a day filled with stories of triumph and tragedy, innovation and exploration, and the enduring power of the human spirit.
It's a reminder that history is not just a collection of dates and names, but a living, breathing tapestry woven from the countless threads of human experience.
And what's even more exciting is that every day, every date on the calendar holds its own hidden layers of meaning waiting to be uncovered.
So go out there, pick a date that sparks your curiosity, and start exploring. You never know what you might find.
Happy exploring, everyone.
Happy exploring.
And you know what's interesting? Both Grant and Flinders were born on the same day, but in different years.
Yeah, and they both left their mark on the world in very different ways. It just goes to show that even a single day can hold a multitude of stories, each with its own unique twists and turns.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up our deep dive into October 27th, it's clear that this date is anything but ordinary. It's a day filled with stories of triumph and tragedy, innovation and exploration, and the enduring power of the human spirit.
It's a reminder that history is not just a collection of dates and names, but a living, breathing tapestry woven from the countless threads of human experience.
And what's even more exciting is that every day, every date on the calendar holds its own hidden layers of meaning waiting to be uncovered.
So go out there, pick a date that sparks your curiosity, and start exploring. You never know what you might find.
Happy exploring, everyone.
Happy exploring.